Good trip.
Yes.
Your guides looking after you, right?
Indeed.
Good. Perfect. Everyone that would like an Irish coffee, you guys all got one, did you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Colin, you're looking for an Irish coffee? So I wanted to start by saying you guys are all very welcome here to Triona Design. So this is a small family-run business that specialises in the hand weaving of Donegal Tweed. So we use these machines that you guys see right here to hand weave all of our tweed cloth that we use for the production of our tweed clothing. So all of our capes, jackets, coats and everything like that you see back here, they're all hand woven using these two looms. So our stroller Dennis, he's a 5th generation hand weaver. He was taught by his father and grandfather, and he's now passed this tradition down onto his kids and his grandkids as well. So they're all very proud of their hand weaving tradition. Now, unfortunately, the hand weaving in Ireland right now is a bit of a dying craft. The average age of an Irish hand weaver right now is 78.
Oh my.
So when Dennis heard this fact at the average age of 78, it inspired him to take young people like myself and Connell on board, teach us how to use these machines, and hopefully we're going to keep this tradition going for many years into the future. So what I'm going to do for you guys today, I'm going to tell you all about these lovely machines that you see right here. We'll do some hand weaving for you folks, and then we'll show you a couple of wee pieces that we make with our cloth as well.
How old are these machines?
So this loom itself here, this one's 190 years old, and this one's just over 200 years old. So they're very old pieces of machinery. So the whole process with the loom and the hand weaving all starts here with our Donegal mountain sheep wool. Have you guys seen a few sheep while you've been in Ireland?
Yeah.
One or two. Perfect. So we would work with all local farmers in the Donegal area, and during the summer, they all have to head out and they have to shear the sheep to help keep them cool for that little bit of hot weather that we get here during the summer. So when the farmers shear the sheep, they'll give us a call and they'll let us know that there's wool for sale. Now the farmers, they're not actually very interested in the sheep's wool. They're more interested in the lambs and the meat. So a lot of farmers will actually just throw their wool away or burn it to get rid of it. So we try and buy as much sheep's wool as we possibly can. So you guys can pass those around so you can all have a feel of some of our Donegal mountain sheep wool, straight off the back of some of the local sheep. So once we have all of the wool bought up, we gather it up, it gets washed, treated, and then spun into thread, just like you guys see here, or dyed different colours, like you see here. So once all of those threads are ready, that's when we can start setting up our loom. So the setup process for our looms starts back here on that piece of equipment in the corner that you guys see there. That's what's called a warping bar. So that's where we set up the pattern for our weave. So our master weaver Connell, which is this gentleman that you guys see here, he does most of that pattern work for us. Connell, he's been weaving since 1960, so he's got 65 years of weaving experience behind him. Now, I'll not tell you exactly his age, because he might get a bit annoyed, but he's been doing it for a very long time. So once the pattern work back there is completed, the threads are taken off, they're transferred onto the back of the looms, the threads get wrapped around these metal rollers that you guys see here and tied in. And once the threads are tied in, we can start pulling them forward through these sleeves of needles. These are called the heddles. So on each heddle, we have roughly 300 little small needles, and there's 4 heddles in our machine. So that adds up to over 1,200 needles on each loom. And every single one of them has to be threaded by hand in a certain order to create that pattern that we're trying to create. So there's absolutely no Irish coffee allowed when you're doing this. All about keeping a steady hand. Because if you make a mistake here, you can mess up all that lovely pattern work that Connell did before. So once those needles are threaded, we come around to the front of the looms. Our threads get pulled forward again through this part here, which is called the sleigh. Inside of our sleigh we've got our flying shuttle with our bobbin and our thread wrapped around it. So this is what we're going to use to pass our threads back and forth through our open weaves. So once that shuttle's tied in, that's when we're going to be able to start our hand weaving process. So when we're weaving, what we do is we start by pushing out our sleigh. So when we push out the sleigh, that opens up the weave, which gives us the space that we need then to grab the wee handles that you guys see here, and we use this to send the shuttle across. That sends our shuttle flying through to the other side, and as you guys can see, it leaves the thread following behind. So at my feet, we've got 4 pedals. Each pedal is connected to one of those sleeves of needles that I was showing you guys before. So me and Connell, we have to move our feet in a certain order to create the patterns that we're trying to create. So I move my foot to the next step of the pattern, and that ties the thread in. Then we just bring that sleigh back in, and now that thread is actually woven into our cloth. So it's just like that. We just push out the sleigh, send the shuttle across, move our foot to the next step of the pattern, and then bring that sleigh back in. So now we'll throw a few shots now so you guys can see what it looks like on a normal screen. So as you guys can see, it's all about coordination and getting into a good rhythm. So weaving at that speed, we would be able to make about 3 yards of fabric per hour, and it takes 90 yards for us to make a full roll of cloth. So from start to finish, including all of our setup and everything like that, it takes us about a week to make a roll of cloth. And from those 90 yards of material, we should be able to get a good enough yield to make about 30, 35 capes, jackets, coats, depending on what it is that we're making. So once all this cloth is woven, we take it off the loom, we steam treat it, which brings all those nice natural oils that are in the sheep's wool back up to the surface of our cloth. It softens the cloth, it also enhances the colours, and it binds the threads together. So once that's done, that's when our team below our feet here on our factory floor, they get to work sewing, cutting, pressing all the lovely tweed garments that I'm going to show you guys a couple of here now really quickly. Yeah. So I wanted to start by showing you guys this little piece here. This is one of the first ever designs that was made by our store owner Dennis, and it's one of our Donegal tweed capes. So the cloth for these is all hand woven on the looms, just like you guys seen there now. And then all of our sewing, our cutting, our shaping and everything like that, it's all done below our feet here on our factory floor. So they're lovely little pieces. They're one size fits all. They have the scarf and the sleeve built in, and they've got the little bog buttons running down the front. So those buttons are designed to resemble the peat turf that you guys would see in an Irish bog. Now the colour for this piece, it's actually a very traditional colour here. It's called the purple heather colour. It's inspired by our lovely purple heather flowers that you would see growing around the bogs all over Donegal. And back in the day, when families used to have machines like these in the front rooms of their cottages, they would go out, they would pick that purple heather flower, they would bring it home, boil it down, and use it to dye the tweed fabrics that they were making. So that purple heather colour, it's been seen all around Donegal for hundreds of years. That's one of our most traditional colours here. Now I also wanted to show you guys an example of one of Donegal Tweed's most famous patterns. So this is one of our Donegal Tweed gents jackets here. So the cloth for these is all hand woven as well, and then all of our tailoring, our lining, it's all done on our factory floor downstairs. But the pattern that I wanted you guys to see on this one is what's called the herringbone pattern. So you guys can see it's called the herringbone pattern because it's meant to resemble the little bones that you would see inside of a fish. That's one of Donegal Tweed's most famous patterns. That's that herringbone pattern. Now there is lots of other patterns and styles back there in those gents' jackets. So ladies, if you fancy playing a little bit of dress up, we can have every single man in the audience looking very sharp by the time you guys get back on your bus this afternoon. Now I also wanted to show you another little style of cape that we do here. So unlike that first cape I showed you, which had the sleeve and the scarf, this is more like your traditional wrap cape that's been seen all around Ireland for hundreds of years. So you just rest it on your shoulders like this when you're warm, and then if you get a bit cold, you just wrap it up, it falls down in that nice flattering way, and it'll keep you lovely and warm and dry as well. Now you can also take this side up and bring this side back down, and then it'll fall down to the front in a nice little bow. So lots of different ways you can wear that cape. Now I also have one last little piece of our tweed that I wanted to show you guys. So this is one of our Donegal Tweed ladies coats. So this is the Fay coat in the Prince of Wales check, and this piece, it was actually made famous by a lovely lady. Sarah Jessica Parker was in our store here. So not many people know this, but she actually has a holiday home here in Donegal. So she bees in the area maybe once or twice a year, and every time she comes, she likes to pop into our store and do a little bit of shopping. But the last time she was here, she came into the store. This coat, it caught her eye right away. She tried it on, and I'm sure you guys can imagine, it looked very good on her. So she kept the coat on, and she went around the rest of the store then for about an hour, looking at sweaters, blankets, different pieces like that. And as she was making her way towards the door to leave, we were thinking to ourselves, are we going to say it to her? Are we not going to say it to her? She has still had the coat on. But at the very last second, she must have remembered, because she turned around and she said, I better pay for this before I go. So she got her coat, and away she went, jetted off back to New York, and we thought that would be the end of the story. But a few weeks after that, we actually got a lovely surprise when our phone rang. It was one of her producers in New York. They wanted to ask for our permission for her to wear her new coat in a new TV show they were making, and just like that. And of course, we said yes. So now she's wearing the coat on the television, walking down the streets of New York. You guys can see it actually on the TV back there in the television show when she was wearing it. So it was seen by millions of people all around the world, and it also featured in our newspapers back home here as well. So we're all very proud to see one of our lovely pieces being shown off like that. And now, our master weaver Connell here, he'll not tell you this himself, but he's now a huge fan of Sex in the City.
Does he go very often?
Now, before you guys actually head off and have a wee browse around, we also have a nice collection of Celtic jewellery back there. So if any of you guys want to come back with me now, I'll show you a few of our most famous pieces back here as well.